Have you ever wanted to achieve something really important in life, but you felt that something is holding you back? Some kind of unconscious resistance that's prevented you from taking action. Perhaps it came from the past, like a feeling, a belief that you developed from childhood, work, or some other environment. An emotional state that has been giving you some kind of pain, comfort, or discomfort, or protection. You see, the vast majority of people have little control over their unconscious responses. Most people don't have any relationship with their unconscious minds. Thus, they lose trust in it, whatever they perceive it to be, and they lose trust with themselves. I'm Jay Arnott, and welcome to this module called Unconscious Results, where my goal is to give you the best results that you can get by harnessing the amazing power of your unconscious mind. So the big question here is, how do we communicate with what lies below the iceberg in order to improve our results and enhance our performance? How do we learn to ride a horse that has essentially, over time, become a bit unruly? And what's required to reprogram the software of our minds in order to generate new positive memories and feelings? You see, in times where high performance is required, what we need is unconscious responses. We don't need conscious thought and the analytical brain. We need some kind of anchor, metaphor, a touchstone that we can fall back on before, during, and after our times of need. And we work with the unconscious mind. We do this by prodding our unconscious, like a little jockey on a horse, in the right direction, using simple, powerful, positive suggestions. Now, the great question here is, how do we work with our unconscious minds in order to get us more quickly into a state of flow, into a state of unconscious competence? If we look at the start of this cycle, the unconscious competence cycle, at the very beginning, we've got unconscious incompetence. So this is when we are completely unaware of our awareness. We are unaware of what skills we need to develop, unaware maybe of how other people are perceiving us. And this is very true for a lot of people, including some of our world's leaders and politicians. And everybody else may be aware of what it is we need to do, but we're not aware of it ourselves. So that's kind of like the worst place which we want to be. And the second stage in the cycle here is conscious incompetence, is where we choose to develop a skill or a behavior or a habit, and we work on it, but we realize we're not very good at it. What comes after that is down here is conscious competence, where we're getting good at a skill and we know we're getting good at it. It's like, whoa, look, I'm doing this. I'm actually doing it. So you're still using this up here, and you're still driving the engine towards developing that skill, and you're getting good at it, but you're not yet in a state of flow. So where we actually want to be from the beginning, if we're in unconscious incompetence up there, we want to be there to a state of unconscious competence. So what is this? This is like a state of flow. It's when we do things without thought. It's where we're in the moment. It's that kind of Zen state where we can do things really, really well because we've either practiced a skill for long enough that we don't have to think about it anymore, or we've had big sensory impact, so we've retained the skill. Now this could be maladaptive too. It could be something like a fear, a phobia, anxiety, where we just have one experience. We see a dog, and that experience is so emotionally powerful that it stays with us and reignites the fear, phobia, or anxiety immediately, and we've only ever experienced that once. So we could become unconsciously competent in the positive context, doing the things that we want to do, if we have strong enough one-time learning, which is like a big emotional impact, a big sensory experience. And the other way to do that is to train your body and train your mind and condition it through repetition. Well, we do it first of all by cutting off our critical faculty. This is the nagging conscious mind. This is the jockey on the horse. The jockey is useful, but sometimes the jockey interferes too much with the horse's natural ability to let the horse just go with it. So the first thing we do is cut off the critical faculty. So we'll cut it off by some kind of sensory distraction or some confusion. Or in self-hypnosis, we'll do a self-hypnosis induction where we cut off that thought, we get into a deeply relaxed state, then we program our mind with the images, the sounds, the feelings, all the positive sensory experiences that we desire in that context. And because that goes in on a very deep level below the iceberg, it enhances our performance on the top of the iceberg. It makes us move the iceberg in the right direction. So that's one way of doing it. Some kind of hypnosis induction, self-hypnosis induction, some kind of relaxation technique to cut off the active, logical thinking mind. And once we've done that, programming it like a kind of garden, dropping in seeds of positive suggestion into that garden and allowing them to come to fruition over the next few days, weeks, months, or years. So that's a really good way of bypassing it. The other way of doing this is through auto-suggestion or hypnotic suggestion using words, using verbal suggestion. So we can do that by, once again, cutting off the critical faculty. And I do have some videos on self-hypnosis inductions and hypnosis inductions. And this is really useful because it's a very quick way of cutting off that critical mind. If you do something like meditation, it takes a long time to get into that meditative state. But with self-hypnosis, an induction can take you straight there within minutes or sometimes even seconds. And when you're there, you can program your mind with words, with scripts. And I've got a very good generic script which I give to my clients in order to program their unconscious or subconscious mind. So once I've worked with them, I've done a session, then I will teach them a self-hypnosis induction and get them to record their own voice and fill in the gaps on my self-hypnosis script. And it's really, really powerful. So that's another way of doing it, through verbal suggestion. What we can also do is begin to create an ally with the unconscious mind by learning to trust it. Just trust your unconscious. And I say this to my clients all the time. Trust your unconscious. Learn to trust your unconscious. If you give it a signal or a suggestion that is simple, and you say, get me this within 1 week, within 2 weeks, find me the answer to this now, and you're very firm, very simple, and very clear, the next stage is to just trust your unconscious mind that it will do the work for you. If you bring this into it, the conscious mind, and then you start overthinking things and analyzing, then you're going to disrupt that process. So the trick is to trust your unconscious mind. And have a look at this next video, which is a video of me working with a lovely woman called Lynn, using the NLP 6-step reframe. And the 6-step reframe is a classic NLP pattern which was originally used as a bridge technique to access the unconscious mind. Now in the video you'll see me working physically with somebody using unconscious body signals and using their unconscious responses in order to create the unconscious suggestion and the levels of agreement. However, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can just follow the steps, write down what the 6 steps are, and work with your unconscious mind and begin to use that. You can do it sitting in a chair. You can apply it to meetings. You can apply it in a whole host of different contexts. So just think about how you could use that by getting into a very relaxed state and tuning into your body and allowing the unconscious responses to come up. And unconscious responses can be anything from twitches in your body. It can be an image that pops up in your mind. It could even be a sound. The unconscious mind, a metaphor we can fall back on to align with our purpose and significantly enhance our performance.